So today I want to rant about the fact that there's no ingredient listing on a bottle of wine. Okay, so you, as a wine drinker, you go and you buy a bottle of wine, you look at the label, and frankly you have no idea as to what's in your wine. You look at it, it mentions the alcohol level, it mentions contains sulfites, and then that's it. But in fact, when you make wine, you can have dozens of additives, you can use dozens of processes to make that wine. You know, you can add yeast, enzymes, very, very high levels of sulfites, but none of that is mentioned on the label. And so what I would love to see is a label where you have the exact amount of sulfites added, so the total sulfites on the wine. You know, if you make wines without any sulfites whatsoever, if you make natural wine, you probably have about 10 to 15 parts per million is the measurement of sulfites. But if you buy, you know, conventional wine or maybe a wine that is made in more volume or bulk wine, you can have up to 150 to 100 parts per million, which can be very high. So I would like to see that on the label. And also, you know, whether the wine has been fined with animal derivative products, because I think that's really important. If you're a vegan, if you're a vegetarian, I think you'd want to know that perhaps some fish derivatives was used in the process of making the wine. So I think that should be another point. So I think there are lots of elements that we should see on the label. You know, have they added any aromatic yeast that will influence the taste profile of the wine? That should feature on the label, for example. So as a result, I created this huge fair called Raw in May 20th and 21st, and we're having first of all a debate on whether or not the public wants ingredient labeling. Because, you know, I want some ingredients on the label. I don't know if the industry wants. Is it possible? Does the wine drinker want to see some ingredients on the label or not? So that's the first thing. We're doing a big talk about that. And then also all the wines that are being brought to the fair all the producers have to mention on the catalogue how much sulfites, what was used for the fining process, the filtering process, any other additives that maybe they've added. And we really sort of, you know, this is the first time anyone, I think, in the world is doing a fair with ingredient labeling, talking about the issue and try and I guess promote transparency for the wine drinkers. Because at the moment, we've no idea. We take a bottle of wine and we call it wine, but it could be just grape juice fermented into wine, or it could be grape juice totally controlled and processed to make something which is a grape juice derivative, but actually in fact can have, you know, a lot of additives added, a lot of processes done to it, and which for me is a little bit removed from our idea of, you know, wine, which is supposed to be this, you know, expression of terroir and relying on grapes and sunshine. But in fact, you know, a lot of wine doesn't necessarily have anything to do with any of that. It's much more about controlling a processed product. So there we go. This is my rant, and come and taste a lot of wine at Raw, and then you'll see what I mean.